Thank you very much for a nice introduction. I could hear some of the words. Okay. In fact, I prepared some one or two slides to introduce myself, but I guess I will show you some pictures. If you want to see more pictures, there are link. Two links are provided. It's a beautiful campus, very well maintained. We have a gardening company within the campus. So you can see they garden maybe every week, every other week. So it's very well maintained. It's a small liberal arts college. We have about 200 graduate students, master's and doctoral students, altogether 3,000. From 40 different countries. Even the Japanese students, they spend many years in United States or other countries. So our students have extensive international experience. We have about 150 full-time faculty, and we've been accredited by Ministry of Education in Japan. Basically Japanese university, but we have also accreditation from American agency focusing on liberal arts education. And Japan, as you might know, there is an emperor, right? It's a very symbolic emperor, but emperor's granddaughter is attending our school, which is the first time in the history because they have their own schools, university. They attend their own schools. But this girl came to our university. I don't know who this girl is, but I heard there are always bodyguards following her. Anyway, so our university is quiet, very liberal and international university, slightly different from conventional Japanese universities. It's more open, I think, flexible. And many people are using ICT to extend and expand their classes. So we invite through face-to-face as well as using video conferencing or other technology system to connect our students to the international community. And this is my experience, but I guess he already explained. I could hear some familiar words. Yes, and two recent books published by Rutledge, Distance and Blended Learning in Asia. And I checked the website yesterday, and I found that quality assurance book is available online. So this one is now focusing on Asia. It's covering all the regions, and there is two chapters one from UK, another from covering all European countries. So we are focusing on e-learning as well as conventional distance education. Okay, so my experience specifically related to quality assurance has begun since 2001. I did some developed quality assurance manual for e-learning while I was directing the multimedia education institution in Korea, the Ewha Women's University. So that was the first time that I become interested in these quality issues, because still, this might be true that many people have some dubious eyes on e-learning. What's that, and how do you? They always ask us, how do you assess the quality of your program as well as the learner performance? How about learners cheating? How do you handle that? They always ask us that question. I'm not sure that's true in here, but I always ask back, how are you sure that the papers your students submit, they submit as a file, right? Or as a hard copy is what they wrote. How do you know? And do you ask them individually? Even if in a face-to-face education, it's very difficult to talk to the student individually. And even university faculty members, they don't remember students' name unless it's a very small class. So, but people become more strict when they are talking about online education. So that was the reason that I decided to develop a manual that makes sure that we follow this process, try to show either the public that we are doing this. So that was the first time. And then I got some commissioned work by UNESCO. They asked me to analyze 5 cases in Asia, how they have been doing quality assurance, what kind of quality assurance framework they have. Because at that time, UNESCO and OECD have been working together to develop cross-border education guidelines. So I think around 2008 or 7, they together announced cross-border higher education quality assurance guidelines, which include distance and e-learning parts. So I was working for that specific aspect. That was the second one. And then I did some surveys covering 11 mega universities. Mega universities means that active enrollment over 100,000. So it's quite large universities. University of Phoenix Online Campus, they are one of the mega universities. And most of the mega universities are in India and China and Turkey. And there's one in Indonesia, and the Korean one is also 300,000. So many of them are almost around 10. Over 10 are in Asia. And then so 11 mega universities that I covered at this time was not just Asia, it covered around the world. And also the University of Phoenix participates in this survey, and 6 other distance, smaller scale institutions, including United States, Penn State University's World Campus also attended this survey. And second survey was done with the Asian Pacific region. Is that okay if I kind of becoming hot, right? Thank you. So around 30 institutions participated in the second survey. And also there was a follow-up study in 2007. At this time, we were approaching these institutions, not the national level, but the institutional level, how they assure the quality of their programs and services. Some universities, institutions had a very stable, the procedures. They have a manual, but most of them didn't have any. Quality assurance, they will do have some quality assurance measures here and there, but it wasn't a systematic approach. It was a piecemeal approach. So whenever something happens, then we fix it, kind of approach. It was 2004 and 2007, that period. And then after that, people suddenly, not suddenly, but maybe gradually but rapidly become interested in quality assurance issues, because it's related to economic situation. When economy is tight, then you don't get much from public funds, and you depend on students. You compete for the student. So you have to make sure that our program is good, better than others. So quality becomes a very important issue. So people began to pay attention to it, and then international agencies, they had some this project on quality assurance. So we got some project from IDRC. We means that Virtual University of Pakistan, he is the leader of this project, and several distance education providers are participating in this project. So that's the year was 2009, 10, 11, 12. We'll finish 12. So we are still collecting this data. So based on these studies, now I'm going to explain some of these areas. So when we look at the context in Asia, Asia is the fastest growing sector in terms of e-learning in higher education. Also the fastest in terms of using ICT. The mobile subscribers is the highest in Asia. So Asia is a big country, but at the same time, the problem with digital divide, gender divide. There are, when you go to the remote areas, none of them has internet access. For example, Nepal, only 1% is using Kathmandu. So, on the other hand, if you go Korea, it's everywhere people using internet, and when you go to Japan, and they are usually using internet through mobile devices. Their home environment is not very advanced. So, for example, my students do not have internet access at home because they live by themselves. They have to pay rent, and they don't have money. So they use this, we call it getai, which is a mobile phone, to access the internet. So that's why in Japan, e-learning has not been very popular. You know, you can do something, very limited things with internet. It's not for, the mobile. It's not for mobile devices. It's not basically for the serious learning. It's just checking information. So, whereas Korea e-learning has been very advanced because of the government policy. In 2001, all the classrooms in K-12 is connected to the high-speed internet. So that was a president pledge. So since then, it's been there has been earmarked in a budget every year to be used only for the ICT infrastructure for education. So that was a great advance. Anyway, overall, we have, Asia has 10 mega universities, over 70 dedicated open distance e-learning institutions. I'm including conventional distance education and combined or online. So dedicated ones. And virtual universities. I will show some of the examples. And e-learning in conventional universities are very popular because they want to have a brand name. As brand name is quite important in Asia, I guess in other countries as well. So that's why they do not want to establish a new institution. Instead, these conventional universities will use their brand name and offer like virtual university. Like Hanyang University is one example. Hanyang University is a conventional university, has some brand name in Korea, but they have a Hanyang Virtual University, Cyber University. So it's kind of a trend that e-learning programs, schools are offered by conventional universities. And there are cross-border education is becoming, I cannot say it's popular, but it's growing. So because e-learning, using e-learning, you can recruit students from any place, but the language is an issue. So Malaysia, some of the countries, they're using English at the higher education level. They are getting students from outside of their country. India, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia. Malaysia is very actively recruiting students from other countries. Okay, virtual universities, when you look at some of these are only some examples. Virtual University of Pakistan and Malaysia, Asia E-University. It's a third distance education university, private university in Malaysia. But there is Open University Malaysia and Wawasan Open University. Most of their programs are based on online. So you can call it as online university, but they say open university. They emphasize openness. And Korea has 19 cyber universities. Japan, one or two cyber universities at the bachelor's degree level, but they have several online graduate schools. Some graduate schools are for-profit. There is a very famous for-profit MBA graduate school. That school is working with Australian university. I forgot, Brisbane University, BBK or something. Yeah. So it has been pretty successful because the creator is the founder of this university is very famous economist, Omai Kenichi, and he wrote several books and he's pretty famous. So anyway, there are several graduate programs. Singapore has SIM University. They used to work with Open University UK, but they become independent and then has a very nice quality assurance structure. Okay, and there is U21 Global. So you may know this word. This is originally established by 14 research universities around the world, including what's one? Canada, McGill, sorry, McGill University, and some, I guess, Oxford. Very famous universities around the world, and they include several really one of the best Asian universities, Tsinghua University in China, and Waseda University in Japan, and Goryeo University in Korea. So Asian universities are very active in this consortium, and Singapore, they have a Singapore office because they are targeting many of their programs are targeting Chinese audience. It's focusing on IT and MBA management programs. So when you look at this, you can kind of see the Asia is growing in terms of e-learning and online learners, number of online learners, we figure, I mean, including all distance education mode, we figure over 5 million to 7 million. So it's growing really fast. E-learning in conventional university, as I said, it's growing really fast. And in China only, we have 68 e-colleges. But Chinese government used to give out accreditation to many of the universities. These colleges are offered by conventional university, good university. You applied, and we like to offer online programs in this area. Then government will come and then check and give approval. But they stopped the process because too many universities are applying. So they say, okay, let's stop here, and then we will go back and check the quality again. So they are doing that right now. And Korea has there is a study done with, I was involved, and there are some faculty members are involved as well. 85% of the Korean universities are using, they have their own e-learning courses, combined, ICT use. I can't quite remember the numbers, but many of the universities come together and develop courses, online courses together, and share the courses. For example, Ewha Women's University is the member of Cyber Campus. There is a Cyber Campus, which is a consortium of various universities. The universities will kind of donate. I will donate 3 courses. I will donate 4 courses. So we have 12 members. 12 members donated few courses each. And it become like 60, 70, 100 online courses. And then student can take any of the courses and then exchange. Credit exchange can be done. So there was several consortia. And it's kind of very active. And Taiwan is also very active. Hong Kong, as you can imagine, is well advanced. Malaysia is catching up with these countries. Japan is kind of slow, though. And another consortia, which is brokering agency, is Cyber University. I think you mentioned about the brokering agency in Europe, Finnish virtual universe, something like that. So Thailand has this different model. It's a brokering agency, so they don't offer any degrees. Degrees will be offered by the member agencies, member universities. For-profit providers, globally, Thomson Learning U21 Global is the company is supported by Thomson Learning. And there is Apollo International, which is quite active in India and China. They have campuses in India and China. They offer their courses online and recruit, but they also have local regional centers in this area. There are many for-profit distance education providers, but only Japan is the only country that can offer a degree. Other for-profit providers, they cannot offer any degree programs. They have to work with universities to offer some offer degrees. All the higher education institutions which can offer any degree, award any degree, should be non-for-profit foundation. They should have an education foundation or something. But when you look at these local for-profit providers in other countries, they do have very strong power in cram school industries. Do you have that cram schools? You know the entrance exam held in Japan, Korea, or China? It's very difficult to get in the good universities, right? So students, after they finish school around 5 or 6 o'clock, they eat dinner just on the way to the cram school, the private tutoring schools. And they study until midnight. They come home around 1 o'clock and study until 2 and go to bed and get up at 6 o'clock. So,
I didn't know that the word was...
The cram school, yes. We call it cram school or private tutoring institutions, but mainly cram school. You just, and they are really service-oriented. They use this online, all different kinds of technologies. They provide individualized, personalized services so that they can have, they're very competitive, so they can have good, expensive. Depending on, what kind of services you get, very expensive. So Korea or some other country, maybe China, other countries, they spend more on private tutoring than public education. And one of there was a cover story in Business Business Week some years ago, reporting Korea's online cram school teachers. They mainly they show this picture. I mean the videotape their lecture and then post on the website. So the students who do not live near that area, like a region in different regions, can actually download or just watch their lectures and pay. The payment is not great, but so many students are paying to listen to those lectures. So the teachers who get more students, they get bonuses. And so my friends, who was a very famous teacher, public school teacher, he quit the job and he went to this cram school, become a very famous cram school teacher, and he's a millionaire. He asked his wife was also a teacher. He asked his wife to quit the job. You stay home. You spend money. So anyway, there are such cases. Yeah, please, please. I want, yes.
Does it mean that there's a kind of failure of the other system, so you need this one in order to upgrade your knowledge? You know, I'm talking about that the other offer, educational offer is not good quality, and then they have to go to this in order to get into the higher level.
Maybe competition is very competitive, and people do not trust public education system. But there is a problem with public education, even if. But another one is cultural. This too high aspiration toward education. You know, I think even if a government provide so good public education, still parents will send their kids to another institution because they want to do better. They want their kids to do better than others. We always compete with each other. So I don't know, in China as well, they have only one child policy. So the parents who have money, or who, even if they don't have money, they just invest to the students. And then Malaysia, I found student online cram schools are kind of popular. So Asia in general, the cram schools, which means after the school is over, they go to these schools. They use online tools. Because of
Very
these
effective.
online universities and e-learning providers, cram schools, and conventional universities are also providing e-learning, and number of students are decreasing because of overall population decrease. So universities have to compete for the students. They don't have enough students. Some universities are closing down and merging. And then accountability means that because of the money problem, they don't have enough students, they don't have public funding, it's decreasing. Government do not want to give that much money that they used to give. So education institutions now have to show the evidence that we are doing great, right, for the public fund. And so they are talking about, they are having issues that have been raised. When you look at the e-learning aspects, there is lack of regulatory mechanism or no mechanism at all. And also another part is many of the mechanisms, even if they have, they're ignoring the unique features of distance education or e-learning. That's another problem. And in some countries, they use very soft approach to e-learning. For example, in Japan, because they wanted to promote e-learning in the society, so their first approach was pretty soft compared to conventional ones. So that caused another problem. People tend not to trust e-learning because it was soft. And because e-learning can travel in different countries, mutual recognition becomes very important. Mutually, they have to be recognized. So, for example, I took the course from United States. And then I also got a degree from UK through online education. In some countries, they don't recognize the online programs, like India. So in certain areas. So that was another issue. And the interest, even if they have a quality assurance criteria, there are different opinions. You know, they don't agree with the quality approaches that government is proposing. So there is a urgent need to review, develop, or improve quality assurance system in the context of Asia. But I'd like to ask you this question: what is your concept of quality? We have been talking about quality. So what's your concept? Everyone has different definition of quality because it's a very relative value-laden concept. It has something with your, relate to your value, own value. And then there is a question of whose quality. Is that policymakers? Policymakers are more interested in, cost benefits or effectiveness at the end result. Employers, whether they can actually work better or not, that will be the quality. Instructors have different opinions. Students, administrative staff, researchers also. So everyone has slightly different idea about the quality. Another one is quality with different focus. Some focus on input. We take very good student, so that must be a very good school. So input oriented intake of the student. It's the case in Japan and some other countries in Asia, because that's why they want to enter the good university. In Japan, university transcript grade doesn't matter. No company asks for the grade, GPA. They don't have the concept of a GPA, except our university. I mean, they have 4 scales, so A, B, C, D, that's all. It doesn't matter. What matters is which university you enter. So input is really important. Process, output, it depends on how you define the quality. So quality becomes more complicated concept when it comes at the different levels. Like, is that a course level, program level? Is that a national, regional, or international level? So it's a very difficult concept to define. That makes quality assurance very difficult. So let me just share 6 different approaches to quality. Quality is the exception. Let me just go to this. Quality can be an exception, can be defined as an exception, like something special, distinctive, not attainable for most students, but it's self-evident. Like Harvard University, for example. In many of us think Harvard University exceptionally high quality. Oxford University. So there are some universities we don't actually look at the process, but we just think, oh, it's a high quality. What about among cars? Well, what do you think is a exceptionally high quality? Cars, automobile. Huh? Mercedes, yes, we don't question them. It's a high quality. I have not found this concept in any of the distance or e-learning in Asian context. So this was not applied, at least in Asia, this concept. They're not pursuing that we want to be exceptionally outstanding provider. It wasn't the concept of quality, but I'm not sure these days. It's been 3 years, and I'm not sure in European context. Another one is quality is something that you meet the standards. This concept is the most popular concept. When you look at the quality, oh, we have a certain standard, so if we meet the standard, that means a good quality. We got the higher score, that's better than others, right? So China, Thailand, most of the countries have this concept. United States and UK and applying this concept. So when you improve the standards, raise the level of standard, which means the quality will be improving. So that's another concept. Third concept is quality as a perfection or consistency. When you define the quality from this point of view, you focus on process. You want to have the consistent, reliable process so that after you go through, you have done all this procedural, follow these procedural steps, then you will produce a high quality program. This concept is also popular, especially ISO. You're familiar with ISO certification. They focus on the process. So that's why you have a meeting notes and you have kind of follow these steps, and after the term, you have student evaluation, and student evaluation result will be applied this and that. I think UOC also has this concept. Okay. Especially in China, when they have these 68 e-colleges, they are encouraged by the government to get the certificate from ISO, so process. So everyone shares objectives and they divide the work and then they follow all the procedures that ISO specified. So several online programs in China, Malaysia, Indonesia, Australia, and some other countries, they have this certification. They're focusing on the service part, not the course development part, but the process part. Okay. Another one that, okay, I like to mention this. Many of the e-learning providers, they have a very detailed quality procedures in the course development. I'm not sure here, but course development is the most popular area because course is important. And then another area is assessment. Students are very keen about the fairness of the assessment. So the assessment. And some institutions, it's not a well accepted concept that STEM members, especially faculty members' performance is evaluated. We don't have very detailed job descriptions. I'm not sure in Spain. Do you have detailed job descriptions? It depends. Okay. But in general, in Asia, you work as a faculty and then you teach, you do this and this, like general research, teaching research service up to that point. And we don't, our contract is just one page. We do not have specific responsibilities. And so, relate your performance. It's very difficult to define your performance, the quality of your performance. In order to define the quality of your performance, you need to have the responsibilities, objectives, planning first, right? And so that you can compare, but there's no the first part. But there are some universities actually developing this concept. They did specific job analysis, and for example, Open University Malaysia, they have done this. So they will relate the performance to promotion or some kind of incentives based on the performance. Okay. And then this is another popular concept in the distance education and e-learning in Asia, which means it's not an absolute concept, it's a functional concept. So if an e-learning university, their mission is to support working professionals. The quality of their work will be defined, will be judged or assessed based on that specific performance. So have they improved the quality of working professionals? So it's kind of important for distance educators, e-learning providers, because our mission is different than the conventional ones. But then there are some issues. If you take this approach, then it's very difficult to gain trust from the public because it's different. They see this not as a university, but as a learning institution or more free-style institution. So there is a danger in just taking this approach. So that's why UK OU decide not to take this approach, but go to conventional university track. So they are assessed by one quality agency, QAA, using the same criteria and same procedures, and they are following all same framework. But QAA has this distance education guidelines to be used by evaluators. Okay. So, and then next one is quality as value for money. Money is an important issue. So most of the universities are trying to include this concept as well, because it's a concern of the funders and students. Okay. Okay, another one is quality as transformation. This is kind of important concept that several of the e-learning providers have used, because it looks at the qualitative change. Our students, improved their knowledge, but at the same time, by studying online, they developed this digital literacy. So that's qualitative change. So they look at that aspect. This one is also can be used as a complementary concept rather than the main concept. Because if you focus on this concept, then it's quite different from conventional framework. So it's difficult to gain public trust. So I'm kind of, I will talk about my suggestion later. So let me move a little faster. Okay. So quality assurance in Asia has very different, distinctive, different stages, depending on the countries. But generally, planned systematic review process of an institution or program to determine that acceptable standards of education are being met. So it's mainly the concept of whether they conform with the standard. That was the main concept. And there are some negative feelings toward quality assurance, because it's same as control. Government are controlling us. Okay, and then governments, actually agencies, have a very unique, they're very kind of snobbish attitude when they come to the conference in some countries. I'm not sure about Spain, but they feel like, oh, we are the examiners, kind of. Even if they say, oh, we like to help you, but so very negative. But I like to move on. So based on this approach, all different kind of research method, we found there are three quality assurance approaches in Asia. One is that e-learning distance education as integrated part of higher education. It's not different. So it's education. So focusing on education. So they apply same procedures, criteria to any type of education provisions. But there are two types of categories in this field, in this area. In this case. One is that they are not sure whether distance education or e-learning are different. So they just apply the same criteria without any careful thinking. Whereas some other countries, they know what e-learning is, they study those, and they consciously decide that we will use the same criteria. So there are some different level of development. For example, Hong Kong, China, Malaysia, Indonesia, not the Philippines, Singapore, Sri Lanka, they know, but they decide to go with the same procedure, same criteria. But some countries have developed more specific guidelines for the, e-learning. For example, Indonesia and Malaysia, they have this instrument specifically for distance education and e-learning. They have different tools, but one agency will assess both conventional as well as e-learning institutions. The Philippines, they have a little bit different criteria, but not specific. Sri Lanka, they are using this COL, Commonwealth of Learning Toolkits. Very, very detailed. Can be applied to any type of distance education, including e-learning. You may find it, it's all online. It's all in col.org. And you found it very useful, but too detailed. It's this thick. And they have examples and all different kinds of performance indicators, but you can kind of pick some are very useful. And Hong Kong, China, Singapore, they have no guidelines, no specific guidelines, but they train external reviewers before they go to evaluate online programs. So that's one approach. Another approach is applying different quality assurance procedures and criteria. China, India, Korea are the examples. In China's case, they apply annual quality assurance activities annually, but that's not specified in the laws or policies. It's more like temporary. It's not legalized. But Chinese 68 colleges have to submit annual report every year. India have two tracks. One track, conventional ones, will be assessed by NAAC, like AQU in Spain. But distance education will be assessed by DEC, Distance Education Council. And they decide funding as well. So it's two tracks, but they are thinking of combining together. Korea has been applying two tracks, one for conventional university as well as KNOU. That's one track. Another track was only for the cyber universities, but they have been changes. They're beginning to merge this as one. Okay. So the trend is to have only one agency taking care of all the higher education institutions, regardless of their education delivery mode, because it's blurring. Now it's, the conventional universities are also offering online programs. And Japan, Mongolia, these countries are still in the process of thinking and planning and listening to others. And we also found various quality assurance purposes. Why you are doing quality assurance for distance education e-learning? Most popular one is to improve the quality of the distance e-learning provision. It's a self-improvement. That's one most important reason. But there are other reasons as well, to ensure the accountability to the public fund. Because India, Indonesia, Sri Lanka is all national universities. So they have to show to the public that we are providing a good quality program. So it's another one. Malaysia, Korea, China, to control the increasing number of private e-learning providers. It's more like accountability of those increasing number of private e-learning institutions. Singapore and Hong Kong are quite different. They have this self-accreditation system. So they have a long period of initial accreditation. For example, in Spain, when you apply, then if you meet the criteria, you will be given accreditation, right? It's within some mean, it doesn't take, you don't have to take a student before you get the accreditation. You get the accreditation and then you receive your student. That's the system in many of the countries, but Singapore and Hong Kong, they have a long period of it's a provisional period. So they will apply and they receive student. They go through this whole process, very closely working together with these agencies. Malaysia also has similar system. Then they get the accreditation. They don't have to be accredited by the agency first in order to open the university. But once you get the accreditation, then you will be given a self-accrediting status. So you won't be audited for a long period of time unless you kind of make some trouble. Then they will come and they accredit again. So it's kind of, you will be given incentive for being more autonomous if you provide a good quality programs for a long time. So I think it's a very good system. The university are happy for, if they show that we can manage our quality, then they will be given a special status. And then we found 4 common quality assurance models. I guess I will just skip this, emphasizing just one point. There is a terminology, some mixed use of terminology. Accreditation is to you get the status. You will be given a status. Academic audit is once you get the status, but you are audited every other year, like every 5 years, 6 years. So that's academic audit. Purpose is to improve the quality, whereas accreditation is to give the status that yes, you are the university, you're not. So yes or no is accreditation. Performance-based
So that's
funding
kind
means
of
some universities and
control
some
mechanism,
countries,
you know.
if they get a high score
Very
in
important.
academic audit,
funding
there will
is
be given more
related
fund. In several countries. And then the new model is that the public disclosure of the report. Quality assurance process and all the report results. In some countries, you have to publish everything. For example, Korea, everything will be published. That's your legal requirements. There is a system, online system. Student can punch in which university, they can look at all the details. In many of the countries, they're planning, they begin to open their documents. This is a public document. So some countries, they open only summary, only results. Some countries open everything. And some countries, they just share among the members. So it's different, but I could see the trend. The trend is the openness. In the society, in Japanese society, for example, it's quite different. There is a cultural difference. Open some documents open the result of quality assurance is, it could be a very serious punishment. They don't link the result to funding. There is no funding card or nothing. Even if you do perform really poorly, they don't have any punishment. But all the universities have to open their documents. Not fully, but the result part. That's a really big social punishment. Because Japanese society, you don't say no in front of a person. Even if you don't like it, you don't say no, or you just say, oh, well, or that's a great idea, then you don't follow. I mean, you don't do action. There is no follow-up action if they don't like it. So in that kind of society, if your result is open, then people look at it, which means you don't get any students. And they decide not to go, or you lose your face. So that's more important. So it depends. I could see how they use the results is quite different from one country to another. In case of Korea, it's direct. If you don't do well, I don't give you money. So that money is very big difference. It's not just there is a minimum of this amount, and we will give a little bit slightly different money. Then that's there are some countries like that, but in other countries there is big differences. Okay, so I'm not sure about Spain, what will be the funding is one aspect. Another one is that you cannot get the student, right? As for the quality assurance method and procedures, these are the very common procedures. First, there will be a predetermined quality assurance criteria, and they review. And then there will be a self-study, self-assessment, like the internal quality assurance report. And then external reviewers come and they peer review, and final decisions. And there are some variations. Some of the universities, like in India, they do initial readiness checking. So they go to the university, they apply for accreditation or evaluation. They see whether they are ready to be evaluated or not. So there is such period in case of India. Some other cases, they have a training session. They train, they give some workshops for the universities who have not done any self-study. How to do it. They explain this quality assurance criteria extensively. And there are some countries, this is kind of a trend, invite institutions after they get the final decision, the draft. They share the draft. We're gonna give you this grade. We evaluate this way. Do you agree? So they have this complaint, not the complaint, but they can argue or they can explain. It has a little bit of different degrees of argument. How much they allow you to argue is different from country to country, but there is such a session. I think it's becoming more important. Participatory quality assurance procedure. And these are the common criteria. In some countries, research are very much emphasized. In some countries, there is no such criteria. IT infrastructure has been emphasized in most of the cases with e-learning. And then, you familiar with teaching and learning, course development, all this. Another one is vision, mission, goals are also emphasized. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Overall finding is that many of the current quality assurance system is government controlled. If it's not, they say it's independent, but they government supported. Like AQ, legally they are independent, but it's very difficult to be free from the funder, supporter, right? So that's the case in many of the countries. In some countries, they are membership-based. So universities, membership-based organization will assess universities. So there are some limitations of those systems as well. And many top-down approach has been observed. Accountability, conformity. They are not focusing on innovative ideas. They focus on conformity. You meet the criteria. So if someone is doing something special, it's very difficult to persuade them. So e-learning is one of those areas. People, you have to persuade what you are doing to improve the quality. So that was observed as well. And faculty in general have very negative perceptions toward the quality assurance system. Especially when you first introduce quality assurance system, they see that as a control device. And there are some evidences that quality assurance system does not necessarily improve the quality of the program. It controls, manages the program, and it encourages people to conform the regulatory framework. And so those negative feelings have been observed. Especially in e-learning, there are some problems with consumer protection. So those are the observations we have listed. And some of the suggestions that we made in our study is that bottom-up policy direction is really important, you know, especially from the institutions, not just by the assessors, but also by the institutions. A participatory quality assurance system has been suggested. Another one is creating an institutional quality culture instead of just following all the details. You know, why you have to produce so many documents and follow this and that? It will be very difficult. You are doing this work not to improve the quality, but to please the quality assurance process. So you may have to, I mean, everybody has to check why we are doing this. That's important. So creating some kind of quality culture is more important than meeting all the requirements. And in order to do that, we need to share our values and practice. So my conclusion was, our conclusion was, there shouldn't be any distinction between quality assurance in distance education, e-learning, and conventional university. In order to gain public trust, whether it's right or wrong, it's important that you show that we are following the same procedure. And same institution, same agency is evaluating us as well. They see us as a higher education institution. So that was one suggestion. Another one is, but still, e-learning is different. So there has to be training for the evaluators. There has to be some kind of guidelines for the distance education, e-learning. So that's another suggestion that we are doing. We are working with Mongolian government and some other governments, agencies who do not have these guidelines. So they're beginning to develop unique guidelines. And we thought, because many of the distance educator learners are adult learners, they have very specific ideas about the quality, what they want. They know exactly what they want. So why not examining their needs, their perceptions of quality, and integrate their quality in our system? So this is kind of a graphical form of one of my suggestions. So you will see national quality assurance system is closely linked to regional system. In this Spanish case, I think it's linked to European case as well because of those credit transfer, Bologna process as well. And then it's also linked to international quality assurance framework because e-learning, you can recruit students from different countries. So if you recruit students from India and they get a degree, they may complain later. Oh, our government does not accept this degree. What should I do? That's too late for them. So it's important that you link your quality framework to other countries as well. But the standards should be same. But the details can be different, should be different. reflecting e-learning features. And this is the kind of map that we are suggesting. Learners' concerns are quite different. When you look at this, learners' concerns are quite different. I think I explained this in one of the seminars. Whereas when you look at providers' assessors' concerns, they're more institutional. Learners do not care about vision or goals. They are not interested in finance. I mean, I'm talking about Asian learners. They do not care about the cooperation. You know, we are cooperating with national universities in order to provide learner services. They don't care whether we are cooperating a specific university or not. What they care is, are you providing me a good learner support? So their concerns are slightly different. And learners do not actually care about research itself. Research, we are doing the research in order to improve the whole system, right? But learners are more concerned with something that directly relate to them, not the behind the scene kind of factors. And here, continuous quality improvement is our job. As an institution, we are interested in. But learners will look at them slightly differently. Okay. Outcomes are more of interest of providers and assessors than learners. Learners are more interested in support and performance information that they can online. So my suggestion was to combine this together and come up with quality criteria. So we are working to elaborate. We are now at the stage of elaborating this model and develop key performance indicators, specifically for distance education and e-learning. So instead of number of graduates who got a job within 1 year, we will develop some more specific ones. So it's going to be, I think the draft will be available in 2 or 3 months. Okay.